Hello and welcome to Zoom with Czarny. Today is Thursday, July 27th. I'm Dustin Czarny, Democratic Elections Commissioner in Onondaga County. And on today's podcast, this is my interview show, and I have the Manlius Town Democrats, John Deere for Supervisor, Town Justice, Town Board candidates, and of course, Prerna Deer, the chair of Manlius. Please stay tuned to this program because it's a wonderful conversation about what it's like to run as Democrats in a traditionally red town that has turned blue, and the progress that they've made in the town, and things that they still want to do. So check that out right after this. We are starting to get into the summer here at the Board of Elections, but that does not mean that we are not busy. We have a lot of things going on. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing an announcement on the new voting machines that we're bringing in, God willing. We've been working really hard on that, so expect something first week, second week of August. We're going to have a big announcement about that. That means all new training, all new training manuals, getting all the inspectors in, getting all the machines delivered, getting the old machines replaced. This is a lot of work. And so the month of August, I'm going to be detailing that because it's rare that you have this big changeover in voting machines at a Board of Elections. And I think I'm going to have a little fun sharing that with you. And that's all I got right now. And so stay tuned for my interview with the town of Manlius Democrats. Enjoy. And we're back. I'm very happy to have my good friends from the Manlius Town Democratic Committee, the full slate of candidates that are running for office this year. We have John Deere running for Town Supervisor, Michael Nesci and Heather Waters running for Town Board, John Boyd, who's running for Town Justice, and of course the chair of the Manlius Democrats, Prerna Deer, who's been one of the masterminds of turning Manlius blue, and hopefully joining us. She's been having some technical issues, is Alissa Italiano. But remember, she was on Zoom with Czarny last year when she was running for election. So if that doesn't work out, we'll just post a link to that. So Manlius Democrats, thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
So, with these large groups, I think it's important for the voters to know who you are, because, some of you have been serving in town government since the first flip, and then the rest of you have joined. A couple of you have joined, and then a couple of you are running for candidate for office for the first time. So why don't we start with you, John Deere? Who's John Deere, and why? And what are you running for?
When I started running, I told people I was formerly a IT guy. I got my start in politics on a congressional race, worked on another couple races, but honestly, nowadays, John Deere is a dad and the town supervisor in Manlius. We've got a new baby, Theron Arthur, who's just about 5 months now. That and the town, I will say the supervisor position is posted as a part-time position. I don't think I treat it as such, but it's been really great. As supervisor, I think it's something that a lot of folks don't realize is, the supervisor is just the 7th member of the board and whatnot, signs the checks. But, my role has changed a lot into worrying about the day-to-day operations, advocating for the employees, and honestly, just managing town hall and the rest of the town departments. So, that's been, 24/7 my life for about 17 months now. Enjoying every second of it, enjoying being a dad, trying to figure out how to balance those two. But I will say, I got into politics because I knew Prerna and I were going to be having some kids. We really wanted to figure out how to make a bigger impact and better our own community if we're going to bring new life into it. And I think we've been doing a good job. I think we've been doing exactly that, making sure that we're giving attention to things long-term, climate change, just the town itself, the operations we have, making sure everything's running smoothly, so that I can come home and spend some quality time with the family after all that. So, I think that's probably the first time I've given an updated resume on who I am, but loving every second of it. Looking forward to another 2 years of it. And, I got to say the best part about it, other than the amazing staff we have at Town Hall, is running and serving with these fantastic folks that are on the call with me. When we started this, it was about running together and having a vision that we shared. And because we've done that and because we've stuck together, we've been able to deliver on a lot of what we wanted to do, and we're continuing to do that. So very excited to hear from my colleagues. And Dustin, again, thank you so much for having us. This is a great service to the county that you're doing.
Thank you. And let's do just that. Let's talk to John Boyd. John, you're running for town justice. So why don't you tell the voters and the viewers a little bit about yourself and maybe why you're running for town justice?
Absolutely, and thank you again for having me. So I am running for the town justice spot for the town of Manlius. It's going to be an open spot this year. The current judge is not running for re-election. I am a court attorney with Syracuse City Court. What I do is I advise the judges on the various issues involving the law, from landlord-tenant, small claims, criminal, and civil matters. Basically, if there's a new question, there's a new issue in the law, it's my job to advise them on it. There have been a significant amount of changes in the law in the past couple years, and it's important that whoever takes the spot, hopefully it's me, actually gives meaning to the legislation and actually knows the legislation. Having been in front of various different town courts, there's no requirement that they're actually an attorney, and that makes a big difference in the amount of justice you receive. If the judge who you're in front of doesn't know that the law is changing, you say to them, well, this is what the law is. Well, I've been doing it this way for 20 years. Well, judge, the law has actually changed. So before being a court attorney, what I was a Onondaga County District Attorney, where I prosecuted felony level economic crimes. Before that, I was a civil litigator with Bond, Shinnick and King, where I did trust and estates litigation, civil litigation, labor litigation, and general business litigation. So I'm hoping that by coming to the court system, I can bring justice, fairness, equality, my unique perspective, significant qualifications as comes to knowing the actual areas of the law, and making sure that I treat every person who comes in front of the court with respect and dignity. So that's my little spiel.
Great. And we are joined by Alissa Italiano, who's also running for town boards, but we just in time because we're about to get to the town board candidates. Michael, let's start off with you, because you're the newcomer to the town board. You're the one who's running who's not an incumbent. So tell us a little bit about your background and why you're running for town board.
That I am, and thanks for having us tonight. We really appreciate it, Dustin, and thanks for everything you do to put information out there and give people points of view that they really should consider. So myself, I was born and raised in Utica, New Hartford area. I graduated from New Hartford High School, and then I'm a transplant to the town of Manlius, like so many people are throughout the town. The more conversations we have, the more exciting it is to see that people seek out our town as a place to migrate to. I started out as a volunteer firefighter with the Manoa Fire Department here in the town of Manlius, and then went to work for the county at 911. And I was fortunate to take a full-time firefighter job with the city of Utica and move home for a little bit. And then to avoid some layoffs, I ended up transferring to the Village of Manlius Fire Department, where I worked a number of years until I was injured there. But while I was there, I was the town of Manlius Professional Firefighters Executive Vice President, and really loved what I learned and did within the labor movement. And while I was facing a decision to go on disability or to continue to work, an opportunity came up with CSEA to work as a labor relations specialist. And I jumped right on it, and I've been there for 6 years now. And I absolutely love everything about what I do, and to support the labor movement and working people and working families. I have a wife, Lisa, 21 years. We have 2 children, 20 and 18, both graduated from ESM high school. And, you know, I become very vested in the town and very involved. And I really want to see it be a place where if my kids want to stay here, they have that opportunity to do so. And they don't think twice about doing so. And, you know, it kind of, that quality of life that the town of Manlius provides is something that I got involved in the local town politics, because I want to preserve that. And, you know, one issue that comes to mind is in the portion of the town that I live, there's a county facility that has a wastewater treatment plant, and that wastewater treatment plant produces a terrible odor. And past boards, it's been difficult to get them to advocate on behalf of us until we got, you know, the current board members who actually took the time to listen, to visit, and to try to utilize relationships they were building with the county politicians to get some things done. But unfortunately, it took a long time to get anyone to listen and to make change. So I organized my neighborhood, and we got everybody active and got them calling and sending messages to the point where I know it was very annoying to them. Them at the county, and we got answers. And fortunately, there's a plan in place, and it looks like that we might get something done. But you know, those are the types of issues that I think somebody asked me, well, you're not running for county ledge, you're running for a town councilor. So how can you get that done? And I tell them, well, we did that as just a resident in the town of Manlius. And now with an official platform, one that, you know, allows us to get out and to have a team and to go out and advocate for town residents, I think we'll be able to get a little bit more done here with partners in county and state governments. So that was the first reason, you know, that I really wanted to get involved and run for office here. And also, I think that I was inspired by the current board and the current committee and what they've done and put together the first comprehensive plan in the town's history. I want to be part of implementing that plan and seeing it through and improving it and going forward with making sustainable moves here in Manlius to keep and protect our natural resources and to build on things that our residents can enjoy and, you know, stay and play if they so choose. And, you know, keep that progressive path forward.
Awesome. Heather Waters, you're running for re-election for a second term. And you know, but, you know, people may not remember, you know, your background. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, you know, why you're running for re-election and who you are?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dustin. Like everyone here, I'm really grateful for all you do and excited about being on the Zoom. So I returned home in 2013 after being away. I was raised in the town of Manlius, and immediately I got involved with League of Women Voters. I wanted to register new voters, and I wanted to be a part of something nonpartisan because I knew I was also going to be a part of democratic politics. I was sort of honored to be a part of the forward momentum that the town of Manlius had, beginning with Sarah Bollinger's, who's now our deputy supervisor, Sarah Bollinger's election. And I really see my work, especially because I ran for county legislator, lost narrowly, and I really think that Carrie Wood is going to be able to build on that momentum and do an incredible job of, you know, sort of as a challenger to Mark Olson. She doesn't even need to be a challenger. All she has to do is introduce herself, and people will see why they want an educator on the legislature, someone to work with Mo Brown and all the other fantastic folks who will be there. I think my legacy, I hope my legacy will be, this is what I've learned through this whole process, is encouraging others to run and letting them know that town boards need them, everyday people. So just like Mike was saying, he organized residents. I encouraged one of the folks who lived in a neighborhood to join the planning board, and she did. I've encouraged folks to run for the school board. We're all working hard to find village candidates and support the candidates that we know in other towns that are running. And I think that that's what the town of Manly is about. And that's certainly what me as an elected leader is about too. I'm constantly encouraging people to step forward. So this second term of mine, might have a bookend to it. And I think what I'm hoping to do is implement the comprehensive plan. We've worked so hard to involve as many people as we could. We spent 3 years engaging thousands of people. And this plan is of the people, and by the people and for the people. And so implementing the comprehensive plan will be what I'm about. I have a background in fundraising, and another thing we've been able to do in this last term that we'll continue to build on is secure grant funds. And even the Sustainable Manlius organization, which is a committee within the town that's able to receive donations, they had sponsorships for their Earth Fest. And so, our goal is to bring transparency, sustainability, and a comprehensive plan to the town. These were commitments we made, and so we've been able to deliver on them. And I'm excited for chapter 2 with bringing new folks like Mike on board. Thank you so much. Oh, I can't hear you, Dustin. I'm sorry.
See, 3 years into Zooming, and I sometimes forget to turn off my mic, turn my mic back on. But and then now we're going to get to Alissa Italiano. Those of you who follow this program may have seen that she was on this just last year because she ran for office to fill a term, and now she is running for the full term. Alissa, welcome back to Zoom with Czarny. But there may be people that haven't watched last year's episode, so tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to since you won election last year.
Well, thank you very much for having me back again, Dustin. It was just 8 months ago that I was elected again to fill the final year of the vacancy that Supervisor John Deere had left there. And I'm running again. So I knew that I would be doing this. They made it very clear to me. John did when I was being considered to be appointed to this position. I interviewed with Councilor Waters and Councilor Bollinger and Councilor Creasel for the position, and they didn't really make it all that clear to me what it would be like. It was John Deere who made it clear that I'd be running back-to-back years. But I knew it, like I said in my interview with you last year, I knew what I was getting into. I thought it was worth it though, because I am from here. I'm born and raised here. I graduated from FM High School and went there K through 12. And then I graduated from Syracuse University's Maxwell School, Citizenship and Public Affairs. Then I went on and started working at the Housing Authority, providing affordable housing and doing risk management and compliance there. I've basically done public service my entire life before I even really knew what public service was. It's basically essentially just advocating for people, and that's what I have always liked to do, I guess. I'm hoping that not hoping, but I'm looking forward to winning the election this year so that I can actually just focus on being a town councilor and not having to campaign again. It is a lot of work, but I do enjoy it because I enjoy getting out and speaking to residents at their doors, which was something I never thought I would enjoy doing because I'm literally walking up and knocking on strangers' doors saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. Can I talk to you for a while?" And of course, it's a little awkward at first, but it's amazing once you get to talk to them and they realize who you are and what you're talking about and the good that you want to do for the community. And you stand there and you talk to them and hear what they want to say. And it was actually kind of funny. We were out knocking doors over the weekend, and Mike and I went to this one house, and the significant other came out and said, "Can you move a little bit further away from the house? You're waking the baby." And most people would think that would be the end of the conversation right then and there, but no, it wasn't. We continued talking because he had really good questions, and it was really nice to have that one-on-one conversation with them. Looking forward, like Heather had said, with a comprehensive plan and being able to implement that, there's a lot of good things in there, especially on affordable housing, something that's a little bit close and near and dear to my heart, obviously. But not just that, but a lot of other things too, things for our elderly population as well. So while I wasn't involved with that comprehensive plan from the beginning, I am hoping to be able to be involved in the implementation part of it because there's a lot of good things in there for it. Along a lot of other good things are on the horizon too there. So I'm hoping to be able to be around for that part of it too.
Oh, that's great. So when you have a lot of people on, this type of program, we still try to keep it around half hour, 45 minutes. You don't get all in depth, but I'm going to be putting your socials in the show notes. People can go follow you, learn about you. But let's talk about what you think is the most important issue facing Manlius over the next 2 to 4 years, whatever your term is, and what you're hoping to do to address that. And we'll start back off with Mr. Supervisor John Deere.
So this is going to be controversial. Not in this group, it won't be controversial, but it'll be controversial. I don't think people realized the state of the town after years and years and years of Republican oversight. Last year, we did a pay equity study. We had 10, 20-year employees who were historically underpaid. We sent our town manager to our first conference this year. We've made investments in the people that are our government, that provide us those services, that are the friendly faces when you got to pay your taxes, license your dog, get a fishing license, whatever it is. Those people, those are our government, and they have been dramatically underserved for a long time. That's what I like to tell people now is, the board has these big ideas, and my job is to make sure that we've got a strong staff there to support this board and deliver on those promises that they were elected on. And so, it is tough work. It is not easy to tell taxpayers why town employees need raises, why our facilities are in desperate need of overhaul and or new facilities. We've got a police department that is loved across this town that's in a temporary facility they've been in since 1985. Last time I checked, the folks that were in power love the police. They love taking care of them, but we never had the political will to build a proper police department. Our courts are way out of compliance, and we've run out of room for new employees. We've got leaks, we've got electrical issues, and when all a town board is worried about is pinching every single penny and not actually worrying about the people that drive government, that provide services, this is what you end up with. I like to tell people I inherited a fixer-upper as the supervisor. And I will say at times, even with the own board, even with Democrats, it's hard to have these conversations. But, when we think about what a government is supposed to do, how regular people interact with it, it is incumbent upon elected officials to take on the tough problems and fix them. So I check in with my employees regularly. I make sure they have what they need. I ask all the time if there's anything else we could be doing to further support them. Make sure we get feedback from the public, what's working, what's not. Every year we deal with assessments. We take that feedback to heart and we try to make that process better. No one wants to hear that, the state makes those decisions. But when you have local government like this, you can make things better for everyday people just by doing some hard work. So, what you're going to see with this budget and every budget that I have a say in moving forward is making sure that we're fixing those long-term issues that we inherited from our Republican colleagues that came before us, and making sure that when you come into town hall, hopefully in the future, a new facility that fits the stature of the town of Manlius with a police department attached and a court that makes people feel good about coming to it. You get employees that are well taken care of, trained, well compensated, and courteous, polite, and efficient. That's my main goal. The board will tell you these really interesting and fun things that are great to talk about. That's where I'm in, is trying to make sure that those folks can deliver on those things by making sure we've got a well-oiled sheet at town hall, thinking about future staffing, thinking about future problems that come up, and delivering on a budget that is honest with folks. And is clear. We're here to run a professional organization and deliver great services to people, and so that's what I'm focused on. And I'll tell you, every 2 years you have me on, Dustin, I'm going to be saying pretty much the same thing because it's a never-ending fight. But that's what I love about this job is getting to get into the weeds, understanding why things aren't working, and finding creative solutions to make them work while staying under the tax cap. So yeah. That's what I think the biggest issue we've got in the next 2 to 4 years is.
Well, it's a pretty big issue, but you're a supervisor, and that's what they pay you the big bucks for. So John, you're running for town justice, and so when you're running for town justice, you can't really take a lot of positions on issues, but you can talk about the core. So what do you think is the direction you want to see the court go if you are to win re-election, and what are you hoping to work on there?
So one of the big things about criminal law is I want to make sure that when we have cases where there are, I guess we'll call it a flavor that this may be drug or addiction related, that we're not just churning it out, pushing it through, just, getting a disposition and getting rid of the case, that we actually do try to address the underlying issues or addiction issues that may exist, whether that be, or even if there's mental health issues. Some town courts don't know it, but Syracuse City Court, where I work now, is sort of a hub court where they do accept cases from the local town courts where they have more services. So even if the case remains in the local town court, you can use some of the services that may not exist because they're sort of spread out, but you can use their services and their resources to help address some of those issues. So mental health issues, but more importantly, drug issues as well. Trying to treat people who have addiction issues and helping them rather than just either, getting rid of their case or churning, sentencing them without addressing, why it is that they're in front of us in the first place. So that's one of the things that I really would like to make sure that we're focused on and would make sure that we address. So, yeah.
Great. And Michael, moving on to the town board, what is one of the issues that you think is important to Manlius that you want to focus on in your first term?
I have an all-inclusive goal, right? And 3 big things: maintaining transparency, inclusivity, and to continue to establish and build trust with our citizens, right? And how do we do that? We govern with the involvement of the town citizens. We got to ensure that meetings continue to be accessible. I love what the current town board has done. And when I have a long day at work and I can get on without having to drive down to the town board and listen to things and maybe get aggravated or excited, I like to do that. But they've now made it easier for you to participate in your town government. So continue to ensure that every meeting is accessible and that we give every citizen the opportunity to participate in their local town government. And to me, what that's going to do is it's going to protect democracy at the lowest levels where, I think all the problems that involve us on a national level have started at these low levels. The cancer starts, I say this often, the cancer starts in one cell, and that one cell, it spreads and it grows, and then it becomes a big problem. So I think by rebuilding trust and transparency and being more inclusive in town level government, and if that can take off like a virus across the nation, we could probably see ourselves become a better place to live, a little more harmonious, and we can get through issues and we can stay progressive.
And Heather, if you are to win another term, what do you think is one of the biggest issues facing Manlius, and what do you intend to work on there?
I guess keeping people engaged, just as Mike said, not collapsing the complexity and not shying away from the difficult conversations. I mean, that's why we have some of the problems we have, because things have been pushed to the side. Neighborhoods that needed to have a conversation about the expense of a drainage system or the opportunity for water were pushed down the road so long that it's thorny and difficult. And so I think what's great is that I'm going to stay focused on making sure that it's not just the summary that happens maybe in the Eagle Bulletin or what a news outlet might put out, something that sounds salacious and like we're arguing with a village mayor or a trustee, but rather what are we doing to make sure we're carrying forward what people have asked us to carry forward? One of the most important decisions, well, there are a few decisions in front of us that are huge. One is One was whether or not to put solar on a decommissioned landfill. And we knew that was one of the greatest opportunities we had to reduce our carbon usage as a community. And we went forward with it, even though some housing developments had been built pretty nearby. Two would be the quarry, and how we, if there's a proposed quarry for additional land down the line that will come to us again. So we made sure to do a whole study group with experts on quarrying in general during the comprehensive plan to educate ourselves. That's 100-year-long kind of impact. So we'll continue to do that kind of work. And then I just say in general, when it comes to looking at thorny issues or difficult issues, I would say, look at how we introduced Pride Month to the town. Our initial proclamation delved into the history that is our town's history with how LGBTQ people were redlined. Because in covenants and guidelines, mortgages were given to married folks. It wasn't just because queer people didn't want to live in the suburbs. It's because that's where they could live. And so you have generations of gay people who were not in the suburbs. Now, by talking about that history, I think we're able to open up a conversation around what does systemic discrimination, systemic racism, what does it really look like? How does it actually happen? And so we'll be a part of those conversations too, and people can count on that.
And Alissa, same question to you. What do you think is one of the most pressing issues for Manlius going forward, and what do you intend to do about it?
Well, kind of piggybacking off of what Heather was saying as far as LGBTQ and pride and everything with that, it also applies to people with disabilities and for accessibility and inclusivity in our town as well, which also I'm going to do a little plug for our ribbon cutting ceremony on July 26th with our accessible dock that we have for the first ever, we believe, if not one of the first ever, along the Erie Canal. So accessible boat launch available for kayaks and canoes and things like that at Poolsbrook on the old Erie Canal State Park, July 26th, which also happens to be the 33rd anniversary of the signing into law of the Americans with Disabilities Act, excuse me. Just a little plug with that, but we need to be able to move forward to become and continue furthering along our mission for accessibility in our town as far as housing and many other features in our town as well. That also includes sidewalks in our town, which we are actually, it's very exciting, moving forward with our first neighborhood sidewalk program area along Enders Road, hopefully that our Councilor Elaine Denton created and that we approved and are moving forward with. So hopefully that'll launch. So that is, which is also a connectivity issue in our town, which our residents have expressed a desire to have. So connectivity, which is also includes inclusivity as well, which also ties into accessibility for disability. So it's all connected in there, which also ties into better transportation and public transportation as well. And not just housing for people with disabilities, but also affordable housing for elderly and seniors as well. So hopefully it's a big thing to try to bite off, but hopefully, we already are being able to move forward with some of it. So hopefully we'll be able to progress even further along.
Well, big things to bite off is Manlius is middle name, and you are the third biggest town in Onondaga County, over 30,000 voters.
I think as of last census, we are the second largest town.
Are you now the second? So
I'm pretty sure.
It's between you and Cicero. I think you're fighting it out, but
I think we got them this time.
All right. That's good to know. I was going by voters, but census is different. But yeah, that's okay. But every slate of candidates in a successful town needs their quarterback, their team captain, and that's Prerna Deer, your town of Manlius chair. Prerna, I would love to have you come on and just talk about what has it been like to flip a traditionally red town to blue. What went into that, and what are you planning on doing to continue that success this fall?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm Prerna Deer. I'm the chair of the Manlius Democrats, and I am acting as, I gave myself the title, I think, of campaign coordinator between all the different campaigns this year, just to mix it up, I guess. But I think the key to our success in Manlius is we really work together. As I said, my title coordinator, I think that emphasizes the fact we coordinate our campaigns a lot. We work together, we bounce ideas off each other. You know, we have a group chat so that we can talk about different ideas here and there. Just, you know, figure out what's important, what's going on, what could we go to, where could we talk to residents, what's the game plan for doors today. So I think all of that really contributes to the sense of running with a team, which Alissa ran last year by herself. And so I know she has found this to be a completely different experience. Instead of a small team of people helping her out, now it's a much bigger team and you're knocking doors together and talking about each other. I think that's where a lot of our success comes from and our strength comes from. I also think mostly because when our candidates and electeds go to doors, they actually listen. They're hearing what people are saying, and they're taking that back and thinking about it and saying, how do I implement change at the town to incorporate this, to show we are listening? So in the future, we're planning on continuing doing the same, working as a slate together. We're going to have some events coming up that are coordinated. I'll put in a plug for our Manlius Democrats 4th annual Big Barbecue Bash, which is August 26th from 12 to 4, and that's going to be at Carrie Wood's house. Check it out on the Manlius Democrats Facebook page. We are fundraising together. We each have our individual accounts, but we're also fundraising together to make sure we're all rowing in the same direction, and we want to continue doing that.
Awesome. So we're getting into that point where it's probably time to start thinking about wrapping up this podcast, but I do want to hear from the candidates one more time with my traditional question of what haven't we talked about? But let's try to make it quick, like 1 minute, lightning round here. So what haven't we talked about, starting with you, John Deere?
Oh man, that's tough. We covered a lot of ground. I think from the campaign side, like Prerna was saying, whether you're a voter in the town of Manlius, whether you're somewhere else in the county or somewhere else in the world, you should vote for people that show up. You should vote for people that show up at your door, that have public events that you can talk to them, that aren't afraid of backing down, saying, I don't know the answer to that question. Let's find the answer to that question. I think something this group, this committee, this slate, this board brings to the table that is sorely needed in politics is honesty. People think, especially sometimes our opponents, when they come to tell us that we're not transparent at our meetings where there's a public comment period that everybody gets to share their comments at, there's issues and stuff or there's questions. We're not afraid of saying, I don't know. Why? Because we are citizens that are in government, that are elected to lead. We are not professional bureaucrats. That's why we hire good people. That's why we maintain strong relationships with our partners. And so, when we're talking about running for office and voting for people that are going to do the good work, it's honesty, it's transparency. But like I said, it's got to be showing up. I went and had a neighborhood meeting with about 29 folks the other day. I stayed there for 2.5 hours answering questions. And at the end of it, I was exhausted, but people understood that we've got skin in the game. And when they elect good people, they'll stand up for them, answer their questions, even if the answer is not favorable. So much of what we're doing is there's not a lot of wins, there's not a lot of losses. It's about coming to a good compromise that serves everybody. So I think this slate brings that to the table every single time. And as someone in the audience, if you're listening, make sure you're voting for people that show up.
Okay, John Boyd, on to you. What haven't we talked about that you want to emphasize?
I just want to emphasize that it's very important to have somebody who's going to know the law and implement it correctly. I've been coaching trial practice at Syracuse Law. I'm going to be teaching a trial practice class there. It's my job essentially to tell the judges what the law is, and the law is very, very complicated and it's changing all the time. And it's just really nothing more frustrating than knowing that, the whole exercise in front of a town court is basically just a practice of creating the record on appeal because there's just so many errors. And it's important to have a court who's going to be doing the right thing and handling cases efficiently. So, it's very, very important. I just want to stress that part.
Okay, Michael Nesci, what haven't we talked about?
some stories have been mentioned by my colleagues, but really we didn't get too deep into canvassing. And we canvass early and we canvass hard. And we're out there now, and we want to see you. We want to talk to you. If you don't see us, hear us, we're not knocking on you. You think we didn't knock on your door? Find us, get a hold of us. We want to have conversations with the people that live in this town. We don't want to talk to just Democrats. We don't want to talk to just people who are undeclared. We want to talk to everyone, Republicans, Democrats alike. We have great conversations with conservatives. We want to hear from everyone in this town. We want to talk to you. We want you to be included in our government. We are out now, and we will continue to be out until November. Find us, stop us. We're happy to have the conversations. We're not afraid to have difficult conversations, like Heather said earlier. We don't shy away from it, and we're not afraid to debate, and we will take your ideas back, and we'll try to incorporate those and at least understand your point of view when we're looking at discussing ways forward for our town.
Heather, your turn. What haven't we talked about?
It's a hot union summer for everybody. Just solidarity with unions and people who are working and who expect to be treated fairly and with respect. And so that goes for, John and I are going to be jumping into the police negotiations soon, and that will be my first. I think John, you've been a part of it before, and I think what it comes down to is that there is always, it's not a binary, whether it's people and gender or whether it's a situation. We always have to be open to listening, and we will continue to do that. And boy, do I hope that the people in power who are standing up to working people right now are doing the same.
And Alissa, we're going to end it with you. What haven't we talked about?
Well, we've talked about an awful lot, like everyone said, and the things that we haven't talked about were just brought up again. But as everyone said, we want to hear from you. We want to hear the good and the bad. If you want to talk to candidates, that we're out at our doors. If you want to talk to us as a board, we have open podium at the beginning of all of our meetings. Don't even need to leave your house. You can do it from Zoom via the link in our agendas. Also, if you want to talk to us as a town board member or as a candidate, and we're actually on Thursday, we'll be at Party in the Plaza, Limestone Plaza at Thursday. And we're always available. You can find us in a lot of different places. We're always knocking on doors. We're always out there. We like to hear from you, the good and the bad, no matter what. Because if we don't hear from you, we don't know what you guys want. We don't know how we're doing. We don't know. Doesn't matter. Just tell us what you want and want to hear and what you think. And thank you very much for your support and for your information.
Awesome. And I just want to thank all of you for running for office. It's not something that's easy. Nobody really gets rich running for town office, you don't do it for the fame and glory or the riches. You're doing it for the betterment of your community. But I also want to thank you as Manlius as a whole, because what an incredible example it is to other towns. And I know that, to go from a blood red town that Manlius was just 8 years ago, and now to one of the more consistent Democratic towns, because you went out there and said, hey, enough is enough. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna challenge. We're gonna compete. And I know that you also go out there and help other towns out as well. And that's not a story that's told as much. But I know that a lot of other towns that are starting to get organized are looking towards Manlius as how to do things. So I want to say thank you to that. As I said, it's been a long conversation. We're going to put in the show notes all of your different bios and your social links. So please go give them a follow and get out there. And if you're in the town of Manlius, go find them and hear what they have to say, because they've been incredible representatives for you and will continue to do so in the future. So thank you so much for coming on Zoom with Czarny.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks.
And we're back, and I'm very happy to have presented that interview to you of the town of Manlius Democrats. They are a mighty group. They are the up-and-comers of Onondaga County, and hopefully they'll be able to continue their work. So if you're in Manlius, go follow them. I'll put the show links in the notes below. And I'm very happy to have brought that interview to you. Later this weekend, I'll be doing a weekly walk on party changes in 2023. I have some data on people who changed their party between February 14th and July in the end, July 7th, which is the end of the primary. This was what we call the party roll. Between that time period, you couldn't change your party. So it gives us a nice little snapshot of about 5 months worth of data of people changing their parties and where it might go. I also have data from January 1st to July about people who are new enrolls in Onondaga County and what parties that they're enrolling in. I've looked at this data. It's pretty interesting. So I hope you stay tuned for that article. Next week, I'll be doing a commissioner in a car. On Tuesday, I'll be talking about the voting system changeover, a little preview of that. That's going to be pretty much the entire month of August. We're going to be talking about that on the commissioner in cars, how we're doing all these voting system changeovers. So we'll be talking about certification next week and what goes into that. And then my Zoom with Czarny next week will be the town of Onondaga Democrats. Justin Polly is the town chair, but he's also running for town board, and he has another candidate that's working with him. It's a great interview talking about another up and coming town, and hopefully being able to make some waves in a purple town that hasn't always been purple or diverse, and to see if this could be the start of a small ripple of change there. So hope you stay tuned for that. As always, go to dustinczarny.com. You can get all your information and subscribe, get content and election news updates. It's all free. I'll never have ads on it. I'll never charge for it because it's part of my public outreach as Democratic Elections Commissioner. So I hope you enjoy. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.